Welcome to the Chicks on the Right show. We have Zach Abraham with us, sponsor and friend of the show, Chief Investment Officer at Bulwark Capital Management. And we have a very interesting question for you today. Daisy found this article that was written by a hedge fund manager who was suggesting that seniors should think about planning to leave any inheritance that they're going to leave to their kids, that they should leave it to them when they're still alive. And ideally, when those kids are like late 20s, early 30s, and like mature enough to receive a big bunch of money. And he says people save too much for retirement. They're missing out on actually using their own wealth while they're kicking. What do you think about this? Do you think it's radical, or do you think this is a good idea?
But I have to interject really quick. Because now he thinks this way, but then like Simon Cowell thinks that he doesn't believe in passing wealth on, as does Buffett. He doesn't like inheritance. And like Daniel Craig, the guy who plays James Bond, he finds inheritance to be distasteful. Like, I'm just throwing that in. Like, there's some people out there who think that this is all just hooey, if you will. Like, it's not a good idea.
So wait, are we asking him if
we're asking him what he thinks? But I'm just saying that they're like, that hedge fund manager is like, this is a great idea. But then there are other people who think this is a terrible idea, like for, practical reasons, but also for whatever reason. I'm just curious we're curious what you think. But there's so many ideas about this floating around. Yeah.
Yeah. What would I missed it? I know what article you're talking about. What was the hedge fund manager again? Do you remember his name?
I can look. I'll tell you what his name is.
His
Perkins. His name is William O. Perkins. He's from Houston, I believe.
Bill Perkins, yeah.
He actually founded Schuyler Capital in Houston.
Yeah, I know of him. I don't know much about him, but
he wrote a book called Die with Zero: Getting All You Can from Your Money and Your Life.
Yeah. So I will say this, and I've had this conversation with many of our clients, and I feel like it always is kind of a surprise to them, because I do think that people do not adjust quick enough, assuming that you have enough saved for retirement. What we've seen is a lot of our clients that have enough saved for retirement have gotten very good at living below their means. And oftentimes I have to coax them out of it and go, they're like, well, I know, but Zach, I just don't want to spend it. And I go, that's what you saved it for. Right. And the line I always, the line I always use with them, because we're a fiduciary, which means our clients do not pay trade costs or transaction fees. We just charge them a percent. And I go, look, when the guy that manages your money for a percentage of your overall money is telling you can afford to spend more, you can, right? Because the less they spend, the more it benefits me. So there is that dynamic. And then we'll kind of get into personal theory. First of all, I think that the idea of assuming that somebody at 20 or 30 years old is mature enough to handle a windfall of money, I would ask him how many 20 or 30-year-olds he's been around. Okay?
I agree with that. Agree.
And if he has not been around, I can introduce him to a few, and I think it would wildly change his perspective.
Totally.
Second of all, there's a more personal aspect for this for me, because, and I'm sure you guys feel probably similar. If I would have inherited a bunch of money, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. Right?
I am right there with you.
The path to get here was really hard, and it was really dangerous. And there were risks that me and my wife took, and we almost lost our first home because we'd invested all over. There were things that we never would have done if we were comfortable. And looking back on that, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. And I think you're robbing people of the ability of finding out what they are and what they're capable of doing and what they're capable of contributing and what they're capable of accomplishing. And, if we're lucky enough to be in a position to leave our kids stuff, there's a client of mine that I thought did it in a brilliant way. He's worth probably 30 to 35 million bucks. And he did it the old-fashioned way, did cabinet building and interior finish construction and built a big company here locally. And the way he's setting it up is he's giving his kid, like, for instance, when they get married, they will get a certain amount of money, like 100, 150 grand. When they buy their first house, he will help them out with an X amount of money with their down payment. If they stay married for 10 years, they get another chunk of money. He's set it up to
Wow.
not give them everything, not even close to everything, but definitely to help them up. But if their life is moving in the right trajectory, right? And that had a huge impact on me. And it's affected my wife and I have begun to look at things that way and say, okay, we want to help the kids, but in a way that doesn't rob from them the necessity to go out and work, to go out and accomplish something.
Yes.
Right.
And so the other part about it that I think is ridiculous, because I tend to agree with Buffett and I tend to agree with some of the other guys you cited and Daniel Craig. Well, I probably agree with him because I fancy myself as a James Bond, right, in my own right. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
Me and James Bond agree on everything.
A lot in common. Yes.
It is distasteful, and we've all been around those people. You know, they were born on third base and think they hit a triple, and it's annoying. It's off-putting. I think it deeply damages. Go look at the divorce rate from people that inherit more than $1 million. It's through the roof.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
Really?
And and the laziness and the I mean, because I've known some people who are like that in my life, and the more that they know that they're going to inherit, the lazier they get. I feel like that it speaks to what you just said. I feel like it kills people's drive, and it kills it kills their potential. Again, it speaks to what you said, and so I think it actually is hurtful for people if you give them that safety net. And they know they have that safety net, because if they know it's there, they're going to be less likely to get off their ass and work. Period.
Yeah, of course. It's the other thing I think that is probably a little bit more esoteric and a little bit more, opinion on my part is I also think it's reflective of our culture acting as if the secret to life is money, right? Like,
yeah,
it makes things more convenient. But I'll tell you what, the majority of quote unquote rich people I know are miserable. I know a lot of people who are far from rich that are raising fantastic families and children and who have wonderful marriages and vibrant, productive lives. And being being in my position where I have had way too little and now I have more than I need, I can tell you that money is convenient, but it is not happiness. It just isn't.
Oh, for sure.
There are other problems that come with it. You're swapping out different problems for other things. And truthfully, at least in our life, the most enjoyable part of the success that we've been given is giving it away. It's the most, because when I'm giving money away, I know, hopefully I'm picking the right places to give it away. I'm contributing to my society. I'm helping out other people. I'm not spoiling my children with it. I'm not enriching myself. Right. It's guilt-free. It's productive. My wife and I have a joke that the only spending we feel 100% comfortable with is the money that we give away. And we just have this cultural belief, this rot that has gotten more and more over time that I want to be the next Kim Kardashian. Money is the secret to success. Money makes me happy. Money makes me better. And it's not true. I have watched it ruin more people than it has helped 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And it's a sad lie that I think everybody's buying into. And my buddies will ask me, what do you think? And I'm like, look, money makes things more convenient and it makes things easier. Okay. But generally speaking, the machinations of getting through day-to-day life is easier. There are other problems that come with it. And we always just want to, take the good and throw out the bad. And it's just not the way it works. So generally I'm not leaving my kids a pot of money. I love them too much for that. I know what they're capable of. I know what their potential is, and I want them to realize it. And if I give you a gold medal at the beginning of the season, are you going to practice as hard? No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
there's something to be said about feeling the need to hustle a little bit, because then whatever you get out of the hustling means more.
Oh my gosh, exponentially more.
I was just having this conversation with a little cousin of mine who's 24 years old, and she's really battling, and she's having a tough time finding her, trying to find her path. And what I said to her was, look, here's the path forward, but it's not easy, right? But what you're going to find, and this surprised me, is that when you really start down that path, you start embracing the hustle. It becomes a point of pride. And then you start stretching your legs and you go, how much more can I go? How much harder can I work? How much harder can I grind? And it's like working out, right? It keeps progressing. It starts to build an appetite. And the grind and the hustle and the knowledge that you're outworking your peers, that becomes addictive in and of itself, and it becomes a reward all of itself. And I think to rob people of that experience and also the self-respect that comes from that, right? When you go out, you guys experience, when you go out and pay, everybody wants to look at everything like it's a finished product. When I see success now, all I see is all of the sweat and tears and blood, right? And there's a respect that comes with that. And unless you've had to do it, you can't fabricate it. You know, it's not, you can't, you know, you can't get battle experience without having some bullets fly over your head, you know?
Yeah,
And,
that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's heartbreaking. And I also think that it's becoming a lost art in this country that it should be hard. It's a feature, not a flaw.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't hard, everybody would have it. You know?
Well, you know what?
That's right.
I think you probably need to write a book in answer to the guy that wrote that other book. And then you can, it's Zach.
Hustle on that.
Yeah.
Well,
and you
yeah, but the only problem with
word
that is in
hustle in it,
America.
Zach. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only problem with that in America today, they'd sit there and go, well, he has more money than you, so we're going to listen to him. So, you know, it'll probably fall on deaf ears.
I'd buy it. I'd buy the book.
There you go.
Just like people should like call you about money.
Yeah, there you go. I've got 2 sold now, so I'll get the publishers on that right away.
There you go. There you go. Yep.
Well, where can people learn more about you, what you can do for them and their money, and how you might be able to advise them about their money planning?
Yeah. So pretty easy to find. BulwarkCapitalManagement.com. I'm on Twitter at @KYRRadio. They can reach out, Know Your Risk Radio podcast, or knowyourriskradio.com. We do a daily show that is a summary of everything that's happened in the markets and the economy that day. We had a lengthy one yesterday because it was a Fed meeting, and we can talk about this another time. That was the most ridiculous, preposterous Fed meeting I've ever witnessed in person. The head of the Fed stood up there and lied effectively. So anyway,
hold that thought for our next recording.
Yes.
Yes, we will get to that. It was pretty remarkable. But so you can listen to that. Then we do our show every week that airs on Saturday. And we also just got locked in an interview that I'm really excited about. There's a famous hedge fund manager named Jim Chanos. And he was the guy that uncovered the whole Enron debacle. And he made all of his money betting against fraudulent companies, so shorting companies. And probably he's one of the best to ever do it.
Ooh.
And he was a guy that I idolized and wrote a term paper in college on his work on Enron. Now he uncovered that whole Enron fiasco. And
very cool. Yeah.
I got connected with him through a friend of a friend, and he's going to be on the show in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So anyway,
that's
cool.
amazing.
That's
Yay.
awesome.
pretty exciting
Very
stuff.
neat.
So I'm excited to hear what his take on everything is, because I know he's got some strong opinions. So it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say.
That's awesome.
Well, everybody needs to tune in, and then tune in to our next recording with you when we talk about the Fed.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. We're not going to want to miss that.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Zach. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, ladies. All fun as always.
Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Information presented is for educational purposes only. It should not be considered specific investment advice, does not take into consideration your specific situation, and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities or investment strategies. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed, and past performance is no guarantee of future results. For specific tax advice on strategy, consult with a qualified tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed herein.